Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Travis Stovall, Mayor of Gresham, and today we are having our Facebook Live session, as we do every month. Thank you for joining us. And today's election day, so a lot of stuff happening this afternoon, this evening, and I'm sure folks are going to be glued to their televisions as they look for results. And you will recognize the person sitting next to me as our city manager, Nina Vetter. She's been on, of course, a number of times, and you actually, I think, hosted in my absence one time.
I did, yeah. Didn't do as good of a job as you
I
did.
don't know about that. Folks are probably saying, hey, bring her back. So again, City Manager Nina Vetter, thank you for joining us this afternoon for another session of Facebook Live. And folks, this gives us an opportunity to get questions from you. We've got some things that we update you on, but we also like to get questions. And I know we already have one question that we got online this morning. We'll get that answered at the end. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop them in the chat so that we have an opportunity to get those answered. We got a number of great topics this afternoon. First and foremost, though, I just want to remind everybody that the sun's going down earlier. Well, technically, yeah, the sun is going down earlier, but we also just moved the clocks, fall back, spring forward type of thing. So we just fell back, and it gets darker earlier. So please, when you're out and about, make sure you're wearing things that are visible. Make sure you're just being vigilant and careful, because we want everybody to be safe as they are going around as we move into the holiday season and everybody starts to get out. Last year we were still in COVID this time last year, and COVID protocols. And so this will be our first time in a couple of years that the holiday season will be one where we're getting together and folks are really congregating. So that's going to be exciting, because literally it's been 2 years since that's been the case. So looking forward to those opportunities. But again, as we're out and about, please be safe, please be visible. With that, we're going to jump in. One of the questions that we many times get, Nina, is in regards to Gresham's financial future. And we have to start in a little bit of Gresham's financial past and present to get to its future. But one of the questions I sometimes get, and I'll give it to you, being our city manager and our leadership in that regard, is why is Gresham in the financial position it's in today?
Great. I'll try to summarize it as best I can, because it is complicated, of course.
And remember, we only have a half-hour opportunity, so half hour, that's all we got.
The city, our main revenue source and the way we're funded and can provide services to the community is through property tax revenue. And our property tax revenue and our property tax structure is dictated by state law. And measures 5 and 50 really limit the amount of property tax revenue that the city collects so that it can provide services. So over the years, over decades, the city of Gresham has grown quite a bit. In addition, our community has asked us to take on more services, to provide more services, to be more responsive, and we've done that, right? We've responded to the needs of the community, we've responded to the growth of the city, but at the same time, we haven't been able to increase our revenues to match the need of our community and to match the expenses that we have. And we've been doing this for decades now and haven't really fundamentally addressed that issue, that we don't have enough revenue to fully fund the services that we're trying to provide the community and that the community really, really wants.
So when we think about the financial structure of any city, but Gresham in particular, we have various revenue sources. We've got various departments. In the world of city finance, we have fund accounting. We're not going to go deep into that, so we don't want to lose folks who are watching. But we've got all these complex financial solutions and mechanisms that are in place. So in some instances, someone will see us doing something, say like redoing the road, and they'll say, "Well, Mayor, why are you redoing this road when we need more money for police?" So help us understand kind of that, the financial constraints and issues surrounding. There are buckets of revenue that we get specifically for things like roads. And then there's another bucket that's called our general fund that basically supplies us with the funds for the things that we would consider a little bit more discretionary. Help us better understand kind of those aspects.
That's a great way to describe it. So we get specific revenues from specific places, like system development charges or building permit fees, and those can only be used for specific purposes. So we can't use a building permit fee revenue to fund additional police or fire, right? They're very limited legally. We cannot do that. And our general fund is a place where we have some latitude and ability. Council has the ability to decide where those funds are spent. Well, because we have such limited funds, 90% of that general fund bucket, that one place where we have options, is going towards public safety, because that really is our main funding source for public safety. So that's how our structure works and why we're limited in what we can do in certain areas. In addition to that, we also have been very fortunate recently to get a lot of grants. So you might see some other construction work happening, some announcement of some really big projects that the city is working on. That's not coming from our general fund. That's not being diverted from police or fire funds. That is grant funds coming from another agency.
Okay, excellent. I appreciate that perspective. So I'm going to push it a little bit further just so that we have a better understanding. So general fund, bucket of money that comes from property taxes and other sources. So folks may still ask, well, you know, if I pay all this money in real estate taxes, then we should get all the services that we need or want, right? And so the general fund, let's talk about the size of the general fund. So the size of the general fund, that services police, fire, some administration, some of those types of parks. I was going to say parks and recreation, but we really don't have a full parks and recreation program yet.
Sure.
We're certainly wanting to get there, but it funds those things. So property taxes. So our total general fund budget right now is about $90 million for 2022, 2023, about $90 million. And you said that police and fire make up about 90% of that. Okay. So out of $90 million, how much of that $90 million is actually covered by our property tax?
Yeah, it's a significant amount is funded by property tax. And I think another important note of when we're talking about, because often people say, you know, here's my property tax bill. I'm already sending X dollars in property tax to the city. The reality is a lot of your property tax is not coming to the city. A lot of the property tax you're paying is actually going to other entities like the county, your school district, and we also get a piece too. But your entire property tax bill is not just going towards the city, and that's a really important thing to recognize. And that's a large part of that is actually going towards county services.
And so we'll talk about this just a little bit longer, and then we'll shift to kind of what does the future look like and some of the work that we're doing. So if I remember correctly, roughly 40 to 45 million, this is a range, of that 90 million is actually property tax. So the rest is covered by other resident revenues. And so when folks say, well, you know, my property tax should be able to pay for this, police alone is roughly about 44 million in cost, and so basically between police, fire, and the other items, we're not even covering police.
Correct.
You know, with that. And just to kind of wrap this up, because some folks, you know, will say, well, you know, 90 million is a lot of money for a city. There are 3 cities in the metro area that are all about 100,000 people. So Beaverton's about 100,000. Hillsboro's about 107,000. Gresham's about 114,000. So Gresham's the largest city among those 3, 4th largest city in the state. Gresham's general fund budget is about 90 million. Hillsboro and Beaverton's general fund equivalents are roughly between 135 and 140 million. So Gresham, about 90 million, largest city of the ones of Beaverton and Hillsboro. So we're larger than both those, but each of those cities have general fund budget equivalents closer to about 135 to 140 million dollars. So that is the foundation of the challenge that we're facing in our great city, is that we're substantially lower. Now we're not even talking about going to that 130 to 135 to 140 million. That's not part of the conversation, but some of the packages that we've recently talked about are looking at adding roughly about 26 million. to 28 million to our annual budget over time, which would again get us closer about 110 to 115 million where we should be. Again, our sister cities are 135 to 140 million, so easily 20 million minimum higher than where we sit. I know these are a lot of numbers, folks. There are a lot of numbers, but we'll be talking about this more and more. And so folks sometimes will say, well, we need to be very stringent with our budget. Again, I mean, as a city, full service city in this state, we are sitting at some of the lowest FTE full-time equivalents, so that the number of folks who work full-time in our city in comparison to our sister cities like Beaverton and Hillsborough. And it's not to say they're overstaffed, it's just saying that in comparison, we're substantially operating at substantially lower budget numbers than any of our comparable sister cities in the region. Would that be a correct statement?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's where the struggle is. And so the council is going to be responding to some of the outlines that our great staff has done under your leadership. Elizabeth Coffey and her team have brought together some financial package to discuss and talk about. And that's going to be next week, a week from today, November 15th, the work session. If you want to listen in on that conversation, again, November 15th, council work session, 4 p.m. We'll be looking at some of the latest information coming from you, our great community members, in response to some of the things we're looking at and talking about moving forward to correctly fund and invest in our city.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're very thankful for council support for our financial roadmap, which you can also find on our website. So if you want to learn more about what the city is doing to tackle the financial challenges that we're facing, you can check that out on our website. We have to use a number of tools to get us there. There's not one solution. It's not just all about property tax and property tax levies. There's more to the puzzle than just that. But really our goal remains that we want to be able to provide the community with the services that you're asking for, the services that you rely on, and we're not going to be able to do that if we don't have enough money and if we're not able to keep our staff that we have today who are doing such great work and expand and add more staff to be responsive to our growing community. So it really is truly fundamental that we have a financial plan, because at the end of the day, we exist to provide the community services. So please check out the website if you want to learn more, and also watch the council meeting.
Absolutely. Again, November 15th, next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Check in on the council meeting to get a better understanding of what we're looking at as we continue to move forward and look at ways to invest in our community. And furthermore, folks ask many times, are there ways, because they know that we have a budget struggle, are there ways that we can be more involved in our community? And I know you and the team, Nina, have put out there this Champion Gresham initiative, which I absolutely love. How can folks get more involved? So Champion Gresham?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're interested in learning more, want to get involved with the city, take action, learn more of what we're doing, Champion Gresham is a great place to go. So you can find it on our website. You can sign up. You will be invited to participate in roundtables, in community conversations, and also receive regular updates from me about what's happening and what's going on. So if you have any interest in getting involved, but don't want to make a big commitment and commit to serving on some kind of committee, Champion Gresham is a great place to go and get engaged in the way that you want to. So please check out Champion Gresham on our website.
And in the future, we're looking at also having Champion Gresham allow us to kind of collate and bring together volunteerism as an option with the city. So
Absolutely.
Really leveraging, folks' interest in pitching in and helping out. So Champion Gresham, get involved, stay connected, allow us to be able to connect with you and help you better understand how you can assist the city through volunteerism. When we talk about volunteerism, we talk about all this stuff, many folks are like, yes, we love vision, we love Imagine Gresham, we love all the things we were talking about, but we need to move at some point to action. And so we put together a strategic plan. The council approved it this year. It included Imagine Gresham. It included a lot of community input, included the council and staff. And so it was a comprehensive process that we went through, and we now have a comprehensive plan. The strategic plan is really that big picture vision. It gives us the ability to start to lay out where we want to be in 24, 36, 60 months, so 3, 4, 5 years out. Now we need to move towards action. And I know we're just now putting together the action plan to start to take steps towards the outcome and the goals that we set out in the strategic plan. What does an action plan look like in comparison to a strategic plan?
Yeah, absolutely. Our strategic plan really is laying out the where we're trying to go, what we're trying to accomplish, what our vision is, and our action plan is the how, right? It's the tactics, it's the programs, it's the policies, it's the strategies to get us from where we are today as a city to these great goals that we have laid out in our strategic plan. So our staff's been working really hard to develop this action plan so that we can make sure that we're being transparent and accountable to the council adopted strategic plan and trying to move forward and make progress in these goals that we've committed to that we want to see for our community. So you actually can check out now, posted on our website, our action plan and see what we're working on literally right now, staff's working on, to further achieve these goals. And what we're really looking forward to is being able to report out on progress to our council and also to the community, because we want to be really transparent and clear about what it is we're trying to achieve, how we get there, and then how are we doing in achieving these things that we've set out to achieve. So that will also be part of our process as well in the next year. We'll be reporting out on these actions and on our strategic plan process.
So in an action plan, I mean, we have kind of the goal that we're looking at, and that goal's related to the strategic plan. And then we've got specific outcomes. And then we actually have individuals that are responsible for those outcomes. So really, when you talk about accountability and transparency, this is reality. I mean, we're seeing the opportunity to really say, okay, this is what we're going to achieve, this is how we're going to do it, and this is who's responsible. So that concept of accountability and transparency is clear because we actually know who to go to have an expectation of what the progress is on that. And so there's going to be progress reports throughout the year to council on various things that really have that. And not everything on the action plan rolls up to council, but there are a number of items there that will, because ultimately some of those items are some of the byproduct or the product of some of those are things that the council is involved in and in charge of being responsible for. So again, I mean, just what you said, in regards to the community being involved and engaged, having an opportunity to see what actions are being taken towards those outcomes, it's an incredible tool for the community to hold us accountable to make sure we're doing exactly what we say we're going to do. And that's something that I think communities consistently and constantly are asking for. How do we know you're moving towards this specific outcome that you say you're going to? Well, it's right there, and they have an opportunity to hold us, starting with the mayor and council, all accountable. And then, of course, we work with you and the staff to be able to make that happen. So I look forward to the activities and the actions that we'll be taking, as we move towards the strategic plan, bolstered by the action plan. So it's absolutely exciting to me to see all of this come together and the great work that you and the team have done over the last 12, 18 months and getting all of this done. Folks, I don't think always appreciate a lot of what it takes in parallel with everything that's been going on to see it all come together. Is something to me that's incredibly exciting, and just look forward to the execution on these action plans that we have in front of us. So I look forward to the opportunity to see the success that the city and our team is going to have, and then also the community involvement as we begin to continue to move forward. The community involvement with Champion Gresham, as we begin to launch some of those efforts. So I'm excited about that. Thinking about, as we look forward, there's lots of things. I mean, we talk about some of the things that we're doing. Some things are way more, exciting, way more out in the open. And there's some things that are happening in the background that we don't always think about. And I just yesterday, I got a chance to tour the new wells that are being drilled around the region. And these wells are part of the Cascade Groundwater Alliance, and a partnership between us and Rockwood People's Utilities District. And as we've said before, we are moving away from the Portland water solution, which we've been with them for a long time, and looking to move to our own water source. Right now, we get it from Portland through Bull Run. Going forward, we'll be getting it from our own wells. We already get some portions of our water from wells, and this will move it towards that. And some folks will ask, well, why are we doing this? Why are we making this investment? Well, Portland had to make some pretty substantial investments in covering their reservoirs, which was quite an expensive task, and we know that. So we saw the probability of our rates for our community members going up substantially, which the team, prior to, I think, either of us being here, had the foresight to say, we think there's a better way. And so they looked into drilling wells and partnerships with, again, Rockwood People's Utilities District, and found that we could actually bring our rate increases down in the future substantially if we were to go to this water source. It's a plentiful water source. Just in the presentation I saw yesterday, the hydrology, I can't even say it.
That's a big word.
I thought they were just hydrologists, but this wasn't hydrologist. It was a different ologist.
Okay.
And I'm not even going to be able to say it, but it's a different ologist. They've worked with these individuals, and they have confirmed that even in peak water usage from all the surrounding cities, the aquifer is going to be plentiful. So that's just a little bit of background about where we're going and why we're making these investments. And so in January 2023, we got a new rate package coming in, and the council voted on this a while ago, and there's going to be a rate increase. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Our council supported a 5-year rate increase, which would have been a lot higher if we were still reliant on Portland water long term. So we're very fortunate, like you said, that our predecessors had the forethought to find a different way, because it really is going to save our taxpayers, our community, a lot of money over the years being on our own system. So we will see an increase starting in January of 2023. On average, you could expect to see about an $8 increase per month is about average, but of course it does depend on your usage, but that's generally what it's looking like. And of course, we do offer assistance programs. So if this is a challenge for you or your household, I encourage you to check out our website or reach out to our team. We do have a robust utility assistance package available, and we're very responsive if you reach out to us and you need it. But this is really important for us long term to make sure that we continue to have a strong, reliant, resilient water source that also is affordable to our community in the long term.
So, when you said it's about $8 a month, I instantly went to, that's about one latte for me. That's, while I know it
It's a big
impacts,
latte.
it is. Lattes are not cheap these days. But I know for some it could be a big increase. And so like you said, the utility assistance program is critical for those individuals that may be struggling, that will struggle with this increase. But certainly it's something that we know that we needed to bend the future cost curve. And so we needed to make those investments up front and early enough so that we could bend that cost curve down, so that we can be more of a resource for our community. So, again, I know it's going to be kind of a cost increase, but certainly something that is a net benefit for our community members. And again, for me, that's about a latte a month. I think I can handle that. Maybe 2 lattes.
Maybe 2 lattes.
Yeah, I do get a venti, so that's quite the latte. So with that, we've just got a couple of things to cover. I know we have one question we're going to get to in a second, and then maybe we've got more questions come in. Very quickly, just want to remind everybody that Spirit of Gresham. So Spirit of Gresham is going to be Saturday, December 3rd. So Saturday, December 3rd. And last year was our first holiday light cruise. So last year, holiday light cruise. And that light cruise starts at City Hall at 4:30, and it goes to the Center for the Arts Plaza, where we will have the tree lighting that evening. So that's at 6 o'clock. So December 3rd, please make it out for the Spirit of Gresham tree lighting. So the first question that we did get earlier today was Measure 110. And folks, Measure 110 that actually decriminalized some minor drug offenses that used to be moved to felonies and different charges. This was a few years back, I believe 2020, I think, was when Measure 110 came into effect. And the question was, how has it impacted the city? Which I think is going to be a little bit tricky to try and quantify how it impacted the city. But ultimately, Nina, I think from your perspective, at this point in time, is probably, like I said, a little tricky to quantify.
It is, and it's definitely, we don't have particular data sources that indicate how it's impacting city operations or the city as a whole. What I will share that I think we all have realized over time is that our community and probably the state as a whole and probably the country as a whole need more resources for substance abuse treatment, rehabilitation, as well as mental and behavioral health resources too. So I think we realize that is a big challenge in our community and in our region, and we continue to advocate for more resources in that field at the county and state level. And
sometimes as new legislation comes into play, there may be some adjustments that may need to be had once you get into the experience of what's going on. So I would assume that might be the case with Measure 110 as we go forward. So with that, we're going to go to some of the questions that may have been posed while we were having our great conversation.
Yes, we did get several questions, and actually several of them came from our viewer, John. Generally, he's asking, why can't we lower taxes for working families or direct entitlement programs towards policing? That's one of his questions. And then he also asked about any cuts that the city has considered or would consider.
Great question, John. Excellent question. Let me again post our sister cities, both Beaverton and Hillsborough. Their budgets are about 135 to 140 million. Our budget is about 90 million. So in any case, we are most likely about $50 million lower than our sister cities. We are well beyond the concept of cuts. We have reduced for many, many, many years because the biggest challenge we have is revenues go up by 3% annually, but costs go up by numbers that are substantially higher than that. So again, revenues can only go up by 3% for the most part, but the costs go up substantial. And so we've been in this situation since about 1998. And so the problem only gets worse every single year. So that's the challenge. I mean, that's absolutely the challenge that we're facing. This is not about cutting any further because we literally are down substantially from where we started many years ago. And so now it really is about raising revenues.
Yeah, I would just add we did cut positions several years ago because of our financial position. We cut about 30 positions, which has an impact on our community. It has an impact on our organization. And we really don't want to be in this spot forever. We know how important it is that we have a fully staffed, functional police department, fire department, parks department, homelessness services team. Those are so crucial to the success of our community long term. So we don't want to have to make any more cuts than we already have, to your point.
And and most folks they'll reference other communities. The community of Sandy has a substantially higher tax base than what we do. The community of Troutdale, substantially higher tax base than what we do. I mean, so this isn't about saying, well, we need to cut further and cut further and cut further when we already know that our surrounding cities have substantially higher tax base than what the city of Gresham does. This is a structural problem. And if anybody moved anywhere outside of the city of Gresham, their taxes would go up substantially because we are artificially at a low number.
Absolutely.
So would love to talk to you, John, further about that, certainly, because that's a great question and something that we need to answer for our great community members. So would love to talk further about it.
So he seems to be looking for more specifics both on the budget and on cuts. Is there a place that people can go to find that kind of information?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a few places I would recommend on our website to look for that information. One is our finance page has the full budget if you want to go through the whole detail. It also has a real handy budget and brief if you don't want to have to go through the whole budget document that explains our revenues, our expenses, generally our trends, how many positions we have. So it's a really great summary document to get a better understanding of our budget. And then again, the other place I would recommend is our financial roadmap. It does talk about, you know, the cuts that we've had to make and where we're trying to go. So those are two great resources on our website that I would encourage you to check out.
Absolutely. And we know that we're in challenging times for our city. We haven't been making the investments. We haven't been doing the things that we needed to do and have needed to do to really invest in our great city. And again, John, if you want to reach out to us and give us some contact information, we'd love to talk further about it and give more information, more detail. So with that, folks, we are at time. We greatly, greatly appreciate you giving us a bit of your afternoon on this beautiful fall November afternoon. We look forward to seeing you while we're out and about. Certainly, remember December 3rd, the Spirit of Gresham downtown for the tree lighting at 6. You can start here at City Hall at 4:30 for the light cruise. With that, thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Nina, for joining us. Until we meet again, please stay safe and stay healthy.